Hello and welcome back to the Drunken Gamer. Today we are drinking Crown Apple. It's a Canadian whiskey. I think Crown's a Canadian whiskey. I guess I'd have to actually look at the bottle, but the bottle's quite a distance that way, and I don't trust myself walking at the moment. I do prefer the sweet liquors right now still. And apple obviously is still, it's more of a fruity flavor and sweeter flavor. But yeah. Anyway, we're playing Disco Elysium. Last episode, we looked in the trash bin. We finally got the keys and found our ledger, which has some old cases on it. And I kind of wanted to explore those old cases. So, without further ado, let's explore the new cases. Alright, so here we are. It takes about half an hour to piece one together using the system we've devised. Where do you want to start? Fuck it, let's start at number 1, the Next World Mural.
This one is relatively easy to reconstruct. Overnight on 1202,
December 12th,
a graffito,
December 2nd, sorry.
a mural, appears on an 8-story tenement overlooking central Jamrock. The building is a sparsely inhabited ghost tower, part of a failed real estate development called Grand Couronne.
Grand Couronne.
Cause of failure, rent too high.
So they tried to charge too much in money for it.
The mural is enormous. 2 silhouettes, a man and a woman, are kissing. The text cut into their form reads, "True love is possible only in the next world. For new people, it is too late for us. Wreak havoc on the middle class."
Why can't true love be possible in this current world? What the fuck?
People call it that thing and that fucking thing.
It's
Visible for miles. In 2 days, the station's complaints desk gets clogged with requests to remove the bummer. You and your partner are assigned to the case. The graffito crew is easy to track down. Only the bell lectures have the literage of industrial paint to cover the surface. One of the graffito artists is rumored to be rich. They take responsibility for the execution, but not the design. The ideologue of the Next World Mural, as the crew calls it, remains an unknown.
So do I ever find out what came up with it?
The case files do not show you finding the author of the design. The crew agrees to clean up after themselves. However, your partner, JV, is against the removal, citing public support for conservation. This leads to a debate in Precinct 41, which then spreads to the streets of Jamrock, ending in a rare plebiscite organized by you and the rest of Row 3.
I don't know what a plebiscite is. I'm gonna have to look this one up. Okay, so a plebiscite is the direct vote of all the members of an electorate on an important public question, such as a change in the Constitution. In quotes, the administration will hold a plebiscite for the approval of constitutional reforms, a law enacted by the plebeians' assembly. So basically ending in a rare plebiscite organized by you and the rest of Row 11. So me and Row 11 decided this is what was going to happen.
The 9,000 people subjected to the mural's message, all of Lakeside, Central Jamrock, and Villalobos, plus half of the eminent domain, participate in the vote. Although the case begins with what appears to be a lot of rambling on the streets as to how juvenile and stupid the mural is, given a choice between 2 options.
A, remove the mural, it is wrong. B, keep the mural, it is right. I think it's wrong, because what's wrong with loving each other now instead of having to wait till the next life? Fuck off.
A staggering 78% of voters choose to keep it. Turns out the opposition were a loud minority. And that love truly is possible in the next world for new people. And it is too late for us.
Fuck that. Love can be possible in this world too. What the fuck? All that remains is to wreak havoc on the middle class? What? Middle class are not to be blamed. It's human nature. I like it, but can't we wreak havoc on other nations instead? I must have voted and possibly even lobbied to remove the thing because I don't believe in that rubbish in one bit.
No one cares what you believe in, man with the smelly toilet ledger.
Man,
What do you
smelly
want to happen
toilet
next?
ledger.
Or are we done?
Alright, unsolvable case.
AKA Leslie and Burke. AKA the public indecency drunk and the property damage drunk is a cursed case. It has been passed from unsuspecting officer to unsuspecting officer for 10 years. On January 29, the unsolvable case made its way to you. Why you accepted it, it is unclear. Every officer, and indeed most civilians in general, know it's unsolvable.
Unsolvable case. Interesting.
Leslie will always take his pants off when he's drunk. Burke
fuck?
will always trash everything. It's just what they do. It is their nature. You cannot change the nature of a man, and you can't lock them away because public indecency and small-scale property damage are not punishable by incarceration.
They currently are, but okay.
The only way for Leslie to stop flashing his genitals to bypassers and for Burke to stop dismantling signage and rear-view mirrors would be for them to stop drinking alcohol, which, in their 40s or 50s, it's hard to tell because of their distorted features, is a medical improbability on par with you ceasing to produce the expression.
I don't know what the expression is. Couldn't we just keep them off the streets?
You would think that, but you're wrong. Where's the fun in exposing your genitals or breaking stuff in your own home? No, Leslie and Burke are on the corner of Main Street and Perdition, because that's where the action is. Can you keep yourself off the streets?
Fair enough.
Threatening, fines, dragging them to the station, locking them up in the hellholes they live in, locking them up in the station, hypnotherapy, even trying to get the local gang of Zemyaki to take them out. The Zemyaki gave them ethanol, so Burke and Leslie would expose and rampage even harder. You tried it all, and still the complaints wouldn't stop, as they hadn't stopped for 10 years. It's plain to see from the files that you, Satellite Officer JV, and Special Consultant TH had more important cases to attend to. You uncover cross-reference to several ongoing investigations, each brought to a standstill every time you drive down Main Street. Because there they are, on the corner of Perdition. And what is Leslie doing?
Leslie. Fuck. Leslie's flashing.
Good, you're learning. If the files are to be trusted, that's all there is to it. That and Burke breaking things, and the fact that they're both drunk. But then again, so are you. The case becomes considerably less comic one day, when Burke takes a swing at your ledger.
Less comic one day when Burke takes a swing at your
He
ledger.
must have it confused with the property he likes to damage. But the joke's on him. You're drunk out of your mind on potent Pilsner. You slam the hardened plastic board in his face. Then you proceed to beat him unconscious with it.
Wow.
In the process, the ledger sustains damage. The compartment within, reserved for permeable documents, is jammed shut. You stop your assault on the now unconscious Burke to open it, but are unable to do so. The officer began to cry, reports Leslie, who, at this point, is tending to Burke. He came at us, and at us. I think he was trying to kill Burko. While trying to kill Burko, you slowly come around. The permeables compartment is open. You've smashed it open on poor Burko's kneecaps. The good news is, Burke can't walk anymore. Can't get out
That's
of
good
his
news?
apartment, an invalid. With Burke to tend to, Leslie cuts back on the indecent exposure. Maybe he flashes his genitals to Burke. Who knows? But both drunks are off the street, the complaints stop. The unsolvable case is solved, which is also why the officer responsible narrowly escapes a disciplinary hearing. The end. Do you want to read another one?
So I beat the fuck out of Burke, and Burke and Leslie live together, and apparently that kind of stops the complaints of an unsolvable case. Because what they're doing apparently isn't against the law. What kind of society is this? What the fuck? Wow. Okay. Alrighty. That was a little twisted. So, what I got out of it, Leslie he's a flasher. He likes to flash. Yeah, look at me. And Burke likes to just break shit. And but only when they're drunk. And I come along drunk and staggering, and Burke decides to try and break my shit, and I beat the fuck out of him. And now Burke is now an invalid. I beat the fuck out of him to the point that where he's actually handicapped. And now they both stopped doing what they were doing. And somehow the unsolvable case becomes solved because they're just not doing it anymore. This is a fucking twisted world, man. Alright, what's the next case? The square bullet hole murders.
It would be very interesting to read about these, wouldn't it? I mean, there seems to be a square-shaped entry wound in the victim's forehead. She's been sitting there for weeks, on her rocking chair, with a square hole in her skull, staring at the wall, her mouth agape.
But
That's all you got. From the half hour you spent piecing it together, all you know is the entry wound was square-shaped. You never found the bullet. And then another body showed up, also with a square hole in his forehead.
sequence killer?
Who knows? Those pages are missing. What next?
Great.
One day you may still catch the man with the square gun.
That one's just straight still open. Couch in an unexpected location.
Some assholes brought their couch outside and hung out on it. In the middle of the street, on the roof, on the hillside by the motorway. You know, at an unexpected location. They were young, and they thought they looked cool on it.
Also looked really cool like a rock band.
Insufferable dicks. Young people are the worst. So anyway, you got a complaint about the damn sofa, or couch, or whatever it is. They were leaving it out in all these unexpected and whimsical locations. They took it to where they also took photos of themselves on it, and smoked cigarettes, and drank coffee because they felt it's intellectual.
Okay, so why is this a fucking
coffee cups, stupid
cup
couch.
thing?
You had to clean it all up, and you did. So congratulations to you. Case solved. No, you didn't have time for that. These notes show that you have what is called a real goddamn job.
Goddamn
You don't
job.
have time to be chasing down the couch assholes. You have a real job to do. What next?
Sounds like that wasn't really a police ordeal. That was fucking retarded. Murder at the hookah parlor.
Murder. Tum 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 at the
Tum
hookah
tum.
parlor was a case originally assigned to an officer called Joseph Mills, who is now dead, of circumstances completely unconnected to murder at the hookah parlor.
Yeah.
Beaten to death by a throng of Villa Lobos gang members when him and his partner J.M., only initials mentioned, answered a call one night. It's a sad story, and it isn't really represented in your case files. Stop stalling and get to the murder at the hookah parlor.
Fine. Poor, yeah, whatever.
Joseph Mills was on this case
Motherfucker.
that he just couldn't solve.
Yeah, there's
Was
JM.
doing it solo. Said it was a real nutcracker, a real brain twister. Was on it for, like, a month. The captain got impatient. Shit or get off the pot, Mills.
So I seem to have taken JM's stuff a few times because JM was a partner of Mr. Joseph Mills, who's now dead, beaten to death by a throng when him and his partner JM. What the hell? So there was a JM and a JM and JM and were partners?
Mills didn't get off the pot. Not yet. He kept at it for a couple of weeks more, racking his brains, running with every theory, as outlandish as they seemed. Still couldn't solve the murder at the hookah parlor. Tough case, he said. Toughest he's ever had. No, he was awful.
It was awful.
Awful sense of humor, too. The worst jokes you've ever heard. Really rapey. Still,
Rapey?
he'd been on it for months now. Said it was the final case. Said it was uncrackable. That murderer vanished into thin air. That goddamn hookah parlor was all he talked about. Okay, so the case is handed to you because Mills isn't getting anywhere, and you look into it. Here's the setup. A young man is found dead in a hookah parlor. You know, those places where you go and smoke bubblegum flavored vapor all day.
Vapor.
Yeah. So anyway, young man in his 20s found with his skull busted open, right on the floor of the hookah parlor, in the middle of the day. No one else is in there. Only client that day. In perfect health, too. Some kind of movie producer.
And by the way, I chose really stupid because that's kind of dumb. Sucking vapor into your lungs, not any better than sucking smoke into your lungs. It's not good for you. Why? Whatever. You do you.
No one enters. No one exits. He's just sucking on his watermelon hookah all morning, all noon, like he
All
usually
noon?
does. He's a regular. No calls, nothing. Just sucking on the hookah until 15:45. Then bam, he's dead on the floor with his skull busted open, blood everywhere. What happened? How can it be?
They don't have video or anything?
Mills has no idea. Invisible assassin.
Invisible
Movie deal
assassin?
gone sour. Girl at the counter did it. Nothing fits. Eerie. Man just dropped dead. So you go to the parlor. You see cushions around the table. Tables low, heavy, really sharp edge.
He sucked hookah, stood up, passed out, hit his head on the table, and died.
See? You can't even read the thing without solving it. Yeah, it was that. Turns out hookah does do something. It turns off your brain's oxygen supply, and you don't notice it until you get up to go to the bathroom.
Doing that for 6 hours.
Yeah, he liked his hookah. Stephen was his name. Smoking hookah. Didn't you hear? I don't know. Trying to come up with a movie script, maybe. Anyway, that was Murder at the Hookah Parlor. Joseph Mills wasn't a good detective, and about 30 minutes has passed, piecing it together. Next.
So in other words, I'm wasting time doing this shit.
Not much has changed in the meanwhile. A bunch of sodden papers still sags from the clipboard. In the back, you see thin, translucent copy paper. Some neon yellow, some bright red, all covered in boxes, like marching armies. These look like official forms, waiting to be filled out. Then rip them from the binder and hand them out, according to type of form. 3. The topmost are misconduct fines. The middle ones are station calls. And the bottommost are field autopsy forms. Each is easy enough to make sense of. You don't have to be an intellectual giant to do police work.
Fine misconduct
A
fines.
monetary penalization ranging from 20 to 250 real. Severe cases allow for 1,000 real, but that requires special paperwork. The details of issuing these fines are spread out over the rest of the fields, but they appear pleasantly vague. These are quite sinister in turn. They give a date and time for the person to appear at the specified precinct police station. Below the call are the criminal charges you risk by not appearing, all in a print so small it could be considered downright cute.
That's kind of, in other words, fine print. That's kind of fucked up.
A dozen pages of thin copy paper, bright red in color. You see the parameters of a deceased human form, waiting to be filled in. Age, condition of internal organs.
Condition of internal organs?
Yes, all that remains now is to fill those forms and hand them to people. Fines for wrongdoers, interview requests for bad guys, and field autopsies to dead guys. The rest of the stinking cellulose is much worse for wear. Being sandwiched between the board and the rest of the paperwork must have spared the fragile copier paper.
Bucket.
The acidic stench of rotting food is rubbed off on the cellulose. It now forms the base of the experience. This base surrounded by a faint air of spoiled meat, the stuff of death itself, and then sprinkled liberally with the citrus zest of toilet cleaner. You know, like the bits they put into public piss bowls, probably called Fermi Discrete, or Axum, or something. At some point in its journey, the ledger has seen the inside of a public toilet.
Wow. Shut up, nose. I don't need your help.
Remember when I said the smell of the upstairs bathroom was so rank they should have sent a poet to describe it?
Sprinkled liberally with the citrus zest of toilet cleaner. Line this poet might have used.
Why, yes it is. Among many other things. This cleaning tablet is used by the whirling in rags. Perhaps that's where the ledger was dropped in the toilet. By
So I dropped it in the toilet and they ended up throwing it away. Let's put it away. So this episode has been completely about this ledger. Learning some case files that I've been on. Obviously some that I figured out fairly quickly, and the other guy, JV was terrible. This is an interesting game. It can go so many fucking ways, and I'm like off on a complete tangent right now so far, just trying to figure out who the fuck I am. Oh my god, this is an interesting game. So I still haven't. I don't even know how long this game is. I'm still on my first case. Maybe this whole game's about this hanged man case, and I'm trying between figuring out who hung this poor dude and figuring out who the fuck I am. There's just a lot going on here. I don't know. Anyway, until next time, folks. Drink responsibly.